They discovered shocking secrets in Matthew 17 that will change everything you know. Few knew what truly happened that night on a mountain cloaked in divine mystery. The air crackled with tension, but was it fear or excitement? A group of disciples watched with wide eyes, their hearts pounding in sync with the thunderous silence around them. This was no ordinary evening. As dusk began to descend, the mountain loomed like a sentinel over the landscape, casting long, eerie shadows. This was the place where Jesus, a man of extraordinary wisdom and grace, stood before them, radiating unearthly light. But what struck the disciples was not just the glow of his countenance. No, this night saw something that would leave them tangled in confusion for days to come. For as they watched, Jesus transformed before their eyes. His garments shimmered, a blinding white that seemed to surpass even the sun's fiercest rays. It was a miracle that begged explanation, but none came. Instead, a chilling wave of awe swept over the men. In that same moment, two figures appeared: Moses and Elijah standing beside him, their presence heavy with history. The disciples' hearts raced. These were not mere shadows of the past, they embodied promises, representing the law and the prophets. What were they saying? Whispers of divine purpose, or was it something deeper? The air thickened with an unspoken tension, leaving the disciples in shock. Did they glimpse the very fabric of heaven unraveling before them? Their minds reeled. Questions began to swirl: why these two? And what of the silence that followed their conversation? Jesus stood, listening, while his followers strained to catch every word. And then Peter, ever impulsive, broke the silence. "Lord, it's good for us to be here," he exclaimed, desperate to capture the moment. But what lay beneath the surface of his excitement? Was it awe, or a desire for control? Could they be trapped in the very shadows that surrounded them? As Peter stumbled over his own words, the sheer weight of the miracle bore down on them. A voice like rolling thunder cracked through the darkness, silencing the ruckus of their minds. "This is my Son, whom I love, with him I am well pleased. Listen to him." Every syllable struck like lightning, piercing their souls. The fear was palpable, a chorus of gasps echoed around them. They fell to their faces, trembling, paralyzed by the presence of the Almighty. Their fear morphed into something profound, something almost sacred, and just like that, as suddenly as it began, the vision vanished. The figures slipped away into the night, leaving only echoes of revelation. Silence reigned again, thick and suffocating. What did it mean? The questions hung heavy in the air. The disciples, still on the ground, felt the weight of the moment, a haunting memory they would carry forever. With breathless anticipation, they rose, stumbling over one another, trying to piece together the fragments of their experience. But understanding eluded them. How could they breathe life into the unanswered questions swirling in their minds? What significance did this event hold for the world? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the disciples stood gazing at the empty space where the vision had unfolded, a sense of bewilderment stretched between them like an unbreakable cord. Their minds raced, thoughts colliding like thunder in the stormy sky. They had journeyed with Jesus, witnessed healing miracles, and heard profound teachings, yet nothing prepared them for what they had just encountered. The mountain, once a silent witness to their struggles, had now become a testament to the divine. "Did you hear what the voice said?" John whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "This is my Son, we must listen." The words hung in the air, their weight heavier than the stone beneath their feet. The significance of being chosen to witness such an event began to unfurl, like a delicate flower in the dawn light. But a question burned brighter than the rest: How do they listen to someone who was both friend and divine? Andrew, keeping his gaze at the ground, broke the silence. What if we were not meant to understand now? What if there's a purpose in our confusion? His voice trembled as he looked into the eyes of his companions. The uncertainty felt like a dark cloud looming overhead. They had walked closely with Jesus, yet the depth of this revelation plunged into unknown waters. Each of them felt the pull of the unanswered, a call to dig deeper into the mysteries that danced just outside their grasp. As the shadows of night draped over the mountain, Jesus turned toward them, his expression serene but intense. "Do not be afraid," he said gently, as if sensing their turmoil. Yet, could they quell the fear that had engulfed them since they had come down from the mountain of divine light? If fear held a place in their hearts, what would they dare to say to others? What would their silence imply about their relationship with him? "But teacher," James implored, searching for clarity, "what did it mean for us? How do we convey this to others?" His voice faltered, a seed of doubt breaking through the soil of faith. The weight of the moment was almost unbearable. What sense could they make of such a celestial encounter? Each man was profoundly changed, yet trembling on the edge of doubt. Jesus stepped closer, inviting them into a sacred space of understanding. "In time, you will comprehend," he reassured them. "But first, you must carry this in your hearts." The words unfolded like a promise, yet the ambiguity lingered, casting long shadows over their thoughts. Somewhere in the distance, a gentle breeze stirred the trees, and they could hear the soft rustle of leaves like whispered prayers. It felt as if the mountain itself were alive, reminding them that there were lessons yet to learn. The air was thick with possibility, and as they moved downward, the weight of their experience did not lessen but transformed. They were being beckoned to a journey not merely of belief but of understanding, a path fraught with trials, reflection, and perhaps revelation. As they made their way down the mountain, nothing was certain. Each heartbeat echoed a question, and each step forward seemed clouded with the need for answers that felt just out of reach. They had witnessed holiness, and yet they were still mortal, caught in the tension of reverence and confusion. What lay ahead would test their faith in ways unimagined. Could they embrace this unfolding mystery, or would they cling to the shadows of doubt? As the path wound through darkness towards the familiar valley below, the echoes of the night reverberated in their minds. They were left pondering, how can one's heart remain open in the presence of both fear and faith? As the disciples descended the mountain, a shroud of silence enveloped them, their thoughts heavy with what they had witnessed. The air hung thick with a tension that stilled the usual sounds of the evening. Each step through the rugged terrain seemed to echo the turmoil within their hearts. Jesus walked alongside them, a quiet presence amidst their chaos. "Rabbi," Philip started cautiously, breaking the strenuous silence, "what does it mean for us to listen? You spoke of listening to your Son, yet how do we know what that truly entails?" His voice carried a mixture of eagerness and apprehension, reflecting the collective yearning for clarity amidst ambiguity. Jesus paused, raising his gaze to the stars that began to dot the indigo sky, each one a twinkling reminder of the vastness of creation. "Listening is not merely with ears, Philip, but with the Spirit. It is to open one's heart to what lies beyond the spoken word," he replied, the softness of his tone contrasting with the weight of his words. "To listen is to engage with the mysteries of God's will." The disciples exchanged glances, their confusion deepening as they pondered the meaning of his teaching. Bartholomew murmured, "Does this mean we are to seek hidden truths, or are we simply to accept what you have shown us?" His brow knitted with concern as he struggled to reconcile their experiences with their roles as humble fishermen turned disciples. "Both, yet neither," Jesus answered, a light smile gracing his lips. "The truth often lies between what is seen and what is believed. It calls for a surrender to the unknown and a faith that embraces the invisible." He gazed into the distance as if searching for spirits that ebbed and flowed just beyond their sight. The weight of these words settled over the group like a heavy cloak. James, still wrestling with uncertainties, voiced the doubt that had taken root. "But how can we navigate our mission when clarity eludes us? This encounter has changed everything, yet we stand at the precipice of understanding." His expression reflected the inner conflict of belief intertwined with fear of inadequacy. "Remember," Jesus responded, turning to face them fully. The promise of faith is not that you will know everything, but that you will be guided along the way. Revelations come not just in moments of great wonder but in the quiet acceptance of the path ahead. Each disciple absorbed the gravity of his words, the implication of faith whispered through the trees around them. As they continued down, the terrain became less forgiving, uneven roots and stones demanding their full attention. Yet with every cautious step, a sense of unity knitted their spirits closer together. The world around them twinkled with mystery, and even as doubts flickered like shadows, they felt the warmth of connection in the space between them. They turned a corner and entered a grove bathed in starlight, where the branches seemed to cradle the very essence of intimacy. Suddenly, they stopped as a figure emerged just ahead, an old man with a weary expression who seemed to be waiting for them. His presence felt extraordinary, as if he carried stories wrapped in his skin, heavy with wisdom. "Many seek answers," the old man croaked, meeting their curious eyes, "but few understand the depth of the journey within." His words were like an incantation, drawing the disciples closer. What has been revealed to you is but the first layer of a tapestry woven with trials and truths yet to unfold. Jesus stepped forward, nodding with recognition and appreciation. "They are ready to listen." The old man's knowing smile transformed his face, and he gestured for the disciples to sit before him. The night air hummed with anticipation, a hush that seemed to welcome a new revelation. As they settled on the ground, a ripple of expectation coursed through each of them. What stories might the man share? What wisdom awaited them in the shadows of uncertainty? In this sacred moment of shared inquiry, the question lingered: in what ways might the journey through doubt illuminate the path toward faith? The old man, his hair silvered like the moonlight, drew a deep breath as if inhaling a stream of ancient winds. To journey in faith is to walk a path where shadows dwell and light offers only glimpses. This night, you stand at the threshold of understanding, but what is revealed must be nurtured gently, like the tender shoot of a young vine. He turned his gaze to Jesus, who remained silently attentive. "You have seen wonder, yet the truth you seek is still shrouded. Mystery is woven into the very fabric of faith, like threads of hope intertwined with sorrow. Your experiences are meditations, echoes of an eternal dialogue continuing in the unseen." Peter's brows furrowed, and he leaned forward. "What do you mean by unseen? How are we to interpret what lies beneath the surface?" The question hung in the air, sharp with longing. "Ah, young Simon," the old man replied, "to glimpse the unseen is a gift often fraught with peril. The annual cycle of the harvest reveals much about patience and faith. You will encounter moments that shatter your perceptions and challenge your hearts. Indeed, even within the love of Christ, the path diverges into valleys of despair and peaks of joy." The disciples exchanged uneasy glances at the echoes of struggle embedded in the man's words. "What are these moments you speak of?" Andrew asked, searching for clarity amid the fog. "With every act of love and every question of faith comes trial," the old man said, his rustling voice carrying the weight of centuries. "You see, the essence of your mission is not merely to witness, but to embody the truth that you have come to believe. Be prepared to lean into discomfort, for therein lies the crucible of transformation. When despair invades your heart, remember that it is a call to deeper revelation." Thomas, often the skeptic, felt stirred by the weight of this challenge. How do we know when such moments arrive? How do we differentiate between despair and growth? In a soft voice, the old man explained, "Growth often feels like an unraveling, just as the seed must break to unleash its sprout. In these moments, remain anchored in love. When doubts whisper in the night, do not shy away from the uncertainty, but let it guide you closer to the heart of the divine. Worship not with empty rituals but with the truths you carry within." The disciples sat in contemplative silence, their hearts wrestling with the implications of the man's wisdom. Jesus smiled gently at them, his presence a soothing balm amid their turmoil. The stars continued to flicker overhead, silent witnesses to this sacred teaching. "Can darkness bring forth light?" Bartholomew inquired, his voice betraying both curiosity and concern. "Is it truly possible that what seems lost could lead us to greater understanding?" "It is a profound paradox of the spirit," the old man responded, his eyes alight with the glow of a fire barely contained. From the ashes of despair rises the flame of hope, in brokenness is the seed of wholeness. Trust in this journey. The depths of your struggle will reveal the heights of your faith. As a soft breeze swept through the grove, the air thick with possibility, each disciple felt a swirling in their hearts, a realization that they were being called deeper into a mystery that might alter their understanding of faith itself. The old man withdrew slightly, allowing the weight of his words to permeate the sacred space among them, and in the quiet that followed, the question echoed once more in their minds: what hidden treasures lie within the struggles we face, waiting to be uncovered? In the light of faith. The stillness of the grove seemed to expand, cradling the weight of the moment as the disciples contemplated the old man's profound teachings. Each of them sat ensnared by their own reflections, yet sharing an unspoken understanding that this night would forge a new step in their journey. As shadows danced and the flicker of starlight took on the hues of a deepening twilight, Jesus turned, his gaze surveying the constellations blanketing the heavens. "There is much more than meets the eye above us," he began, his voice soft but steady. "Consider the stars, how they shine in darkness, not merely for themselves, but as guides for those lost along their path." Peter looked up, captivated by this imagery. "But Master, what of the dark moments we face? How are we to guide others when we ourselves are in turmoil?" In response, Jesus took a deep breath, as if drawing from some eternal well of wisdom. "To lead is not to be without fear, but to journey through it with hearts aflame for love. When you face despair, remember this: it is not a void, but a vast expanse where new understanding can emerge. Your vulnerability in those moments can illuminate paths for others while anchoring you in truth." Thomas, still wrestling with his doubts, thought aloud, "But isn't it easier to just seek certainty? To shy away from discomfort and hold on to what we believe we know?" "Ah, but therein lies the essence of faith," replied Jesus, a spark of warmth in his eyes. "Faith is not certainty, it is trust amidst the unknown. Like a delicate flower that blooms through fractured soil, trust in love will see you through." As the disciples absorbed his words, a sudden breeze swept through the grove, rustling the leaves like whispers of the divine. They felt a shift, as if the very air was filled with speaking spirits, echoing the theme of transformation woven into the fabric of their discussions. "Tell us, Lord," James spoke, leaning forward, eagerness brightening his expression. "How do we prepare for the trials you foretell? How do we keep our hearts true in the face of adversity?" "The heart must remain open to learning, to change, and most importantly, to love," Jesus answered. "If the distance between certainty and doubt feels insurmountable, remember that the mountain of faith is often ascended through unsteady steps. Each stumble offers lessons of a deeper kind, patiently unveiling the path toward growth." With each passing moment, the depths of their conversation seemed to cloak them in awe, yet a lingering curiosity persisted within the group. Bartholomew, who had been quiet, broke his silence again, a thoughtful crease upon his brow. "You speak of trials, Master, but aren't there moments of profound joy and revelation? Will we not find delight in our journey as well?" "Indeed," Jesus affirmed, his smile radiating warmth. "Joy is the tapestry that holds moments of despair in its weft. They are interwoven, each enhancing the other's value. The laughter you share, the stories that grow from your love, these will foster memories that cradle your heart in hope when trials seek to overwhelm." In that moment, the disciples began to sense a harmony in the complex web of experiences, the trials, struggles, joys, and love. Their hearts, once heavy with the burden of their inquiries, began to pulse with a new understanding of faith renewed through revelation. Yet as they faced one another in reflection, an unspoken question hung in the air, much like the shimmering stars above: how do we embrace the unknown, allowing it to shape our journey, while never losing sight of the joy and love we carry within? As the musings of the night deepened, a sense of collective yearning rose among the disciples. It was as if the very stars had shifted, bringing forth an unseen light to illuminate the path ahead, a promise concealed in mystery, waiting to foster understanding. With silence weaving around them, Jesus drew closer to the fire they had kindled, its flames crackling like ancient prophecies coming to life. "Tonight may be a time for questions," he encouraged, but do not forget that every question carries the seed of revelation. Are you willing to nurture those seeds? Jude, ever contemplative, ventured further. Master, in our hearts lies the desire to comprehend what is beyond our sight. Why must we endure mystery if we are to believe? Is not belief stronger when grounded in clarity? A gentle smile graced Jesus' lips. Consider the parable of the mustard seed. It begins as a mere speck, hidden from view, yet within it lies the power to grow into a great tree. Your belief, like that seed, flourishes not merely from the affirmations of clarity but thrives amidst the wilderness of uncertainty. What if the very questions you fear to face are the catalysts for a faith that transcends the visible? His words stirred something deep within the group, echoing through the stillness. As the firelight flickered shadows onto their faces, the spark of a shared revelation ignited. Andrew's voice broke the still air, hinting at a growing realization. It is in our wrestling with these mysteries that we find strength. That connection, through shared understanding, binds us closer together. Thomas nodded slowly, reshaping his previous doubts. So, each question, each struggle, can be an invitation to deeper communion with one another and with God? Precisely, Jesus replied, his gaze unwavering, holding the weight of their reflections. Each moment of uncertainty can bring about a richness that mere answers could never inspire. In their vulnerability, you unite in a divine wrestling that transforms you together. The weight of his words shifted the atmosphere. It was as if a gentle breeze stirred the uncharted landscape of their hearts, reminding them that doubt brings them not apart, but closer, weaving them into a tapestry of shared experiences. They began sharing their own stories of struggle and triumph, of moments where doubt had once cast long shadows over their hearts. Each tale began to connect them, showing how love had emerged in their journeys, illuminating their darkest hours. James shared how on the sea, amidst the savage winds, his fears crumbled as he reached out to grasp the hand of the Master. As the fireside conversation flourished, attention turned toward the darker shadows lurking outside the grove. Judas, sensing the weight of unspoken concerns, raised the question glossed over by hope, but what of those who falter within this web of love and doubt? Who amongst us will be lost? Jesus paused, and an aching stillness filled the night. In the depths of despair, one must remember that love cannot be forced, it must be sought. Each of you carries the light of his truth, a beacon meant to guide not just yourselves but others who have strayed. Will you allow your relationship with the unknown to carry that light onward, illuminating their paths? As they contemplated the gravity of his charge, silence enveloped them, leaving a poignant question lingering unanswered. How can we embrace the strength found in uncertainty while extending our light to those who threaten to lose their way amidst the shadows? As the night deepened, the stars grew clearer, as if bending to listen to the words shared around the flickering flames. Each disciple felt the gravity of the moment, their hearts perhaps a little lighter for the questions raised, but burdened nonetheless with the shadows of uncertainty that loomed over them and their paths. Andrew, taking a breath to steady his restless thoughts, turned to Jesus. Master, he began hesitantly, why choose this time and place, when night gathers, and shadows dance menacingly? Does this not suggest that our journey is fraught with dangers unseen? Jesus regarded him with compassion, his eyes reflecting the firelight like twin lamps. Ah, dear Andrew, the night is not merely a cloak for perils, it is where hidden truths often reveal themselves. The quietude allows reflection, inviting you to peel back layers of your heart and soul. In the heart of darkness, your eyes may be open to a greater light. Will you then embrace the night as a friend, rather than an enemy? As the other disciples absorbed his words, a shiver ran through Jude, standing stiff beside the fire. The mention of hidden truths struck chords within him, illuminating the depth of the burdens he bore. And what of our hidden fears, Master? Are we not also cloaked in shadows of our own making? Jesus nodded gently, his look unwavering. Yes, each of you carries thoughts pressed deep within secrets and fears, heartaches and fervent hopes. The shadows of your fears speak volumes, but will you allow them to dictate your steps? Or will you loosen their grip and allow the light within to cast a glow upon them? Jude struggled with this contemplation, peering into the depths of his heart. With a voice that held the weight of revelation, he spoke again, "I have wrestled with betrayal in my own heart. The fear that I may falter weighs heavily upon me. What if my shadows reveal a part of me undesired?" "Understand this," Jesus said, his voice firm yet soothing. "Your shadows do not define you, they are part of the journey. To acknowledge them opens the door to transformation. Just as we emerge from darkness into dawn, so too can you find purpose in vulnerability. Have courage to face what lies in your depths." Seeing the intensity of the conversation, James interjected, "Master, to face our hidden selves requires not just courage but also the faith that we are not alone in that struggle. Many around the world battle the same shadows, yet they do so in silence. How are we, as your followers, to speak to others grappling with their own darkness?" Through shared testimonies, Jesus replied, his voice metaphorically casting fishing nets to gather thoughts from the waters of their hearts. Do not underestimate the power of lived experience. Your vulnerabilities, like the mustard seed, can grow into a mighty tree for others to find shelter. Have you not seen how even the smallest light in the darkest time can shimmer through the void? His words inspired reflection, but the heaviness remained. They saw each other, unguarded, as their hearts expanded with understanding, yet what of the trials still unspoken? The distant echo of Judas's earlier query gnawed anew at some members within the group. "And if our fears lead us astray, what then?" He posed, his brow furrowed as unresolved anticipation clung to his voice. "That I am the silence that followed, the stars twinkled brighter, almost mocking their uncertainty." Jesus regarded each one, as if reaching deep within, knowing their burdens and the weight of destiny that lay ahead. In those moments of despair, remember that light is not extinguished by shadows, it can still shine even brightest within the darkness. The temptation to run from shadows is ever present, but light can emerge and lead the way. Will you join me in that light, knowing your struggles may transform into a guiding light for another? Their hearts sparked with renewed hope, yet continued to wrestle with a profound question that whispered through their minds and souls. How can we illuminate our own shadows while bringing forth the light that others may find in their darkest hours? As the night lingered, a stillness enveloped the gathered disciples, each one grappling with the weight of the truths brought to light by their master. The embers of the fire, crackling like the thoughts swirling in their minds, lent warmth and simultaneously deepened their contemplation. Peter, always one to seek clarity amidst the fog, turned to Jesus, his brow furrowed as a thought tugged insistently at his heart. "Lord," he began, cautiously measuring the weight of his inquiry, "you speak of shadows and light with such wisdom. But what if, in the illumination of our shadows, we uncover not just vulnerabilities, but the darkness that dwells deep within? Do we not risk losing the very essence of who we are?" Jesus' gaze softened, like the rising moon casting silver across the landscape. "Every journey of the heart begins with a revelation, Peter. Embracing the shadows does not diminish you, it sanctifies the struggle and unveils truth. Light and darkness are threads woven together in the tapestry of existence. You must remember, the unfurling of truth may at times feel overwhelming, yet it is there to reveal a path forward. What you unearth in yourselves can become channels of grace for others." Encouraged by Jesus' words, Matthew spoke up, his tone imbued with a quest for deeper understanding. "Master, you have spoken of light amid shadows, but what if the very shadows we face arise from the choices we have made? Are these dark places of our own crafting truly redeemable?" Jesus considered this, his expression thoughtful as he contemplated Matthew's wrestling heart. "Every choice made is an echo of your free will, Matthew. Do not forget, even shadows cast by your own making can become catalysts for redemption. It is your heart's posture, the willingness to turn and seek forgiveness, that transforms the darkness into a testament of growth. Will you see your previous choices as lessons rather than anchors?" As those words sank into the hearts of the disciples, a soft gust of wind stirred the flames, sending sparks tumbling into the night sky. Thaddeus, who had remained quiet, found his voice rising from the depths of concern. "But, Lord, what if we fail? What if our efforts to confront our shadows lead to more harm than healing, both for ourselves and those we strive to guide?" In the flickering light, Jesus leaned closer, inviting their fears into the open. To embrace failure, dear Thaddeus, is to embrace a part of the journey. Do not shy away from mistakes, for they, too, are the teachers of humility and growth. When you falter, look to your brethren, lean upon them, and seek the strength that community provides. Defining success not by perfection but by love's essence and relentless pursuit of unity will keep the path illuminated. The fire's glow danced with questions and doubts yet unaddressed, igniting an exploration of the unknown. John, ever perceptive, felt impelled to voice a truth that swirled within the hearts gathered. Yet, Master, if we stand at this precipice of revelation and step forward, how can we ensure that the shadows we unearth do not hinder us from moving onward? How do we balance the weight of our past with the promise of our calling? Jesus' expression turned contemplative, and he spoke as if unveiling a deeper secret layered within this very moment. Remember, dear John, the shadows are not the enemy, rather the revelations within them can guide you to develop a deeper understanding of your purpose. Acknowledging them offers a chance to craft wisdom and strength. The balance lies in recognizing that every step into the light can cast new shadows, yet it does not negate the grace bestowed upon you. How can you then create from these revelations, not through fear but through love and understanding? As he finished, a silence fell upon the group, heavy yet charged with curiosity and reflection. They stared into the expanse of the darkened horizon, pondering his words, a labyrinth of thought and emotion twined together. Each one knew they stood on the brink of a wider understanding, yet questions bore into them. Restless and yearning for resolution. As they continued to ponder this, a voice from the fringes, that of Judas, emerged again. If to embrace our shadows is to walk on a road paved with vulnerability, what then becomes of the burdens of our past? Will they not always linger in the corner of our memories, ready to engulf us should we falter? The disciples exchanged glances, the night pressing in around them like a held breath, even as the stars watched on, twinkling with secrets yet to reveal themselves. How can they learn to navigate the shadows they must each face, while embracing the promise of a calling that beckons them toward light? As the shadows deepened, a profound hush enveloped the disciples, thickening the air with unasked questions and unveiled fears. The night bore witness to the struggle within their hearts as a sense of urgency intertwined with their reflections. No one dared to break the silence, save for the crackle of the fire, which seemed to echo their unspoken anxieties. In that moment, with the stillness heralding an uncharted direction, Jesus rose, his presence commanding reverence. He looked out towards the distant hills, and then back upon the faces of his followers, a well of compassion set in his eyes. There is a story, he began, his voice steady, a revelation that awaits amidst your inquiries, one you must be willing to hear. Understanding stirred in the hearts of the disciples. Stories often carried the weight of deeper truths, and they leaned forward, eager for the insight that would unravel their questions. Not long ago, I ascended a high mountain to pray, Jesus recounted, his eyes glistening with memory. And on that mountain, a strange magnificence unfolded. I was transfigured before Peter, James, and John. My face shone like the sun, and my garments became white as light. At that moment, I spoke with Moses and Elijah, the very essence of the law and the prophets. They talked to me about what was to come, my impending suffering in Jerusalem and the fulfillment of the promise. In the brilliance of that moment, the shadows of doubt were dispelled. The disciples sat in rapt attention, feeling the weight of his words settle in the space between them. But behold, Jesus continued, as we descended from the mountain, a heavy burden loomed. The other disciples encountered a boy possessed by a spirit, one they could not cast out. Despair had taken root among them as they felt the weight of their shortcomings. Matthew listened intently, recognizing that he was among those struggling along with the others. How did you confront that darkness? He asked, a tremor in his voice. Jesus focused on him, understanding the weight behind the question. It was my very presence that acted as the point of convergence between shadows and light. I approached the boy and spoke a word of authority over the spirit. You mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. And in that command, a power flowed, not just to heal the boy but to release the fear that had bound the hearts of my disciples. A murmur swept through the group, raising fresh questions within each heart. What does this reveal about our own burdens? John pondered aloud, wrestling with the implications of Jesus' story. Your burdens, much like that boy's affliction, are not for you to carry alone. When shadows darken your path, seek me not merely for understanding, but for the courage to confront the shadows head-on. Through you, the healing you desire can take shape, but you must embrace the possibility of failure along the way. It is in those moments of vulnerability that my grace abounds. Thomas, always seeking clarity, spoke hesitantly. But Master, if our shadows emerge from our choices, how can we expect to step forward knowing we may continue to falter? How do we reconcile our human frailties with the call you place upon us? Each falter, dear Thomas, shapes your faith. It is through the brokenness that you learn what it means to be whole. You must understand that your journey toward healing will not be isolated from your humanity. The grace offered to you invites a community of support, woven together by love and understanding. Embrace the shadows not as a defeat but as a part of a transformative path. In the flickering warmth of the firelight, hearts ached with the weight of revelation. They were being called not merely to confront their own shadows but to unearth the potency of their shared experiences. Could each of their struggles become a testament to the enduring light of grace that could spark change not only within themselves but around them? As the night cloaked the landscape, the disciples felt the echo of their questions reverberate in the stillness. They stood at the doorway of a deeper reality, each weighed down by their past yet ignited by the potential to birth hope anew. Yet, as they contemplated Jesus' revelations, a lingering question remained: how could they, imperfect as they were, transform the burdens of their shadows into vehicles of grace that could lead others toward healing? As dawn broke over the horizon, the first light spilled across the landscape like liquid gold, sweeping away the remnants of darkness. The disciples, though weary from the night's deep contemplations, felt invigorated, invited into a new phase of their journey. The echoes of the preceding evening still resonated within them, transforming confusion and fear into a palpable anticipation for what lay ahead. Jesus stood among them, light breaking upon him as the sun rose. He beckoned them forward with an eager sparkle in his eyes, for today held an important revelation, one that would solidify their purpose and ignite a fire within their hearts. Come, he said gently, leading them toward the summit of a nearby hill, a vantage point where the expanse of creation unfolded beneath their feet. As they climbed, Jesus spoke intimately and powerfully. What you have witnessed and shared last night will prepare you for what lies ahead. Your burdens are not simply weights, they are keys, each one unlocking doors to deeper understanding. Remember the boy, the struggles you saw, and reflect on the authority bestowed upon you. You will carry this light into places shrouded in pain and doubt. The disciples listened intently, absorbing each word as though they were drops of rain upon parched soil. Andrew, still grappling with certainty, dared to ask, Master, how do we ensure that the shadows we face do not consume us? How do we share this light with others if our own paths remain unclear? Jesus paused, his gaze steady upon the horizon. It begins with your vulnerabilities, Andrew. Reveal them, allow others to witness your struggles, and let compassion spring forth from your own experience. When you are authentic, the very act of sharing can become a bridge that draws others nearer to their own healing. Light not only guides, it connects, creating a tapestry woven by every broken thread and every moment of grace. Bartholomew, emboldened now, added, so, our journey becomes a collective one, not just for ourselves but for those we will encounter. Each step forward is one shared. Precisely, Jesus affirmed, his voice radiant with the hope they all craved. Your paths intertwine. As you embrace your wounds, you invite others to do the same. You will find that the shadows you have endured can illuminate the darkness in someone else's heart. Your stories woven together become a myriad of guiding lights. James' heart raced at the thought, he could almost hear the tapestry of humanity being formed by this very dialogue. And as we gather those who seek refuge, what shall we teach them? How will we show them the way? The way, Jesus said, is love in action. Heal those who come to you. Lift the fallen. For every doubt shared, offer encouragement. For each fear unveiled, shine the light of hope. You must walk amongst the struggles, letting love breathe life into despair. Just then, amidst the delicate beauty of the dawn, a traveler approached, weary and burdened, his eyes weary with the weight of life's trials. The disciples felt a collective jolt of recognition. This was the moment they had envisioned, the challenge they had prepared for. Jesus smiled knowingly, gesturing toward the man. This is your charge, extend your hands, create a space for healing. Before them, the traveler spoke of lost hope and crushing despair. His voice quivered, a stark echo of their own fears of inadequacy. As he shared, the disciples felt their hearts tighten, recognizing their past struggles mirrored in the man's sorrow. Each confession became an opportunity to reach out, to listen with genuine empathy, to breathe life into his spirit. In that sacred exchange, the realization dawned within them. They were not simply messengers of a distant truth, they were conduits of transformation. Their own shadows could give way to compassion, their vulnerability converting into connection. Jesus stepped forward, his light illuminating the space around them, a shining example of steadfast love. You see, the burdens you once bore now empower you to bring forth healing. This moment is just the beginning. The atmosphere shifted, a warm breeze intertwining with the messages shared. The despair that once shrouded the traveler began to lift, replaced by a flicker of hope born from shared experiences. Nestled within the connections formed was the essence of faith, a community forged through struggles, a communion of souls recognizing one another's shadows. As the sun climbed higher into the azure sky, illuminating the world in brilliant hues, the traveler felt the warmth of the light embrace him. With tears flowing, he dropped to his knees, not in submission but in gratitude. I see now, he stammered. Your shadows, your struggles, they don't define you, but instead, they ignite a flame of hope that spreads like wildfire. With newfound strength, the disciples reacted. They kneeled alongside the man, their hearts swelling in unison. Together, they spread their arms wide, wrapping him in a collective embrace, each beat of their hearts echoing the assurance that grace had been birthed in this moment. The burden of anguish was being lifted, revealing beauty in the vulnerability, unveiling truth through compassion. As they each reflected on the encounter, an inspiring revelation dawned upon them that their faith was not an individual journey, but a collective pilgrimage. They would carry forth the lessons of their own shadows to connect with others, weaving their stories into a greater narrative of redemption. With dawn fully unfurling above them, painting the sky in a vibrancy of color, Jesus spoke again, his voice wrapping around each heart. Go forth from this place, my beloved, for in your hands lie the keys to transformation. Let your love shine brightly through your struggles, for it is in your shared journey that others will see not only the light of hope but the way to their divine purpose. Empowered by the moment, they rose with renewed hearts and awakened spirits, ready to face the world beyond the hill. Each step away from that sacred space was lightened by the knowledge that they were not alone. Their shadows would no longer shackle them, rather, they would continue to teach, learn, and inspire in ways that perpetuated the cycle of love. And as they walked, the truth of this final chapter etched within their souls was clear, to illuminate the shadows in themselves meant to shine a light for others. Together, they would weave the fabric of faith, transforming trials into triumphs, shadows into light, and vulnerability into profound connection. Across the horizon, where earth met sky, a powerful revelation lingered. When one embraces their shadows, they find the sacred light that can ignite the world, for faith is not only a journey but a shared odyssey of love. And so, they moved forward, transformed, walking the paths of sanctity where shadows became threads of grace, eternally intertwined in the grand tapestry of creation.